Welcome back. This next tutorial is going to be showing you just some of the basic image treatments we can do. So I'm going to turn a lot of these images off and we're just going to work with this photo here. This is a photo of myself. I'm going to press Ctrl T and Ctrl minus to zoom out and just shrink the photo so it actually fits in to my canvas there. Photo of myself at Foster on a sunset one time after a surf, and we thought it would look quite good, and as you can see it's a very cool image. Now I'm going to do some basic image touch-ups to make it look even better than it is, and that's what you do a lot of the time with Photoshop unless you're a very talented photographer. Now the way that I've known to be able to do it before is up here there's image and there's a whole bunch of adjustments you can play through over here to touch up your image. Now in CS5 you can actually add your adjustments via this little helpful panel over here. So I'll just show you the two different types. So for instance we can go image adjustments and we can go to brightness contrast and actually contrast our image up quite nicely. So I'll probably drop the brightness back a bit, still pick up the contrast. You can see how that works and sort of helps touch our image up. Now you'll notice that that's just changed that whole picture. To get out of it I need to undo by pressing Ctrl Z. When you do it over on this side in CS5 it will actually apply it as a bit of an effect. So you can see the same little things coming up there. I can have high contrast, I can drop my brightness right back down if I want to get a bit of a silhouette type feel. And then down here it's actually said that it's applied that as an effect, so I can actually see that effect when I have the eye on, and I can also take it off. So whereas if you do it via the menu up the top there, it applies it to the whole photo. So if you make some changes and then later on don't like them, it can be quite hard to undo them. So that's one of the basic effects. I can then also turn that off or drag it and say I didn't like it. So one of the things I usually do is I'll just take you through a couple that I usually play with in an image. The first one being the curves. Now an S-curve is pretty standard, and the idea is it just picks up on some of your colors and brightens your image up, and you'll see that how that's starting to change the colors. So you can see as I move it about it's going to change the contrast lots and lots, but an S shape is pretty standard, and as you can see that's starting to make it a very sort of fiery image, high in contrast, and you can see that that's applied that, and I can start to see a decent change in my image. Another thing that you can do, which I'll probably use another image to show you, so I've got my curves over there, and I can go back now and I can do something else. So I can now bring up my brightness or my contrast a little bit, and so it's starting to contrast that image up, and you can see how that's starting to look there. I can also go back, I can do my levels and bring my levels up to get my colors right, and it's a matter of having a play with these and see, you can just see how playing with them makes different adjustments to your image. The general idea is one end of the spectrum is for your dark colors and one's for your white. So if you've taken a photo that's meant to have a white t-shirt and the t-shirt's all yellowy, you use these levels to adjust and make it look like what you hoped it would originally look like, and then you can just go back. So it's quite easy using this and going back and forth rather than going up to the older menu up the top. Hue and saturation, you'll notice that I can change the hue of the image, so you can see it's starting to change colors there and give me quite unique effects. So I could say I wanted like a purpley feel to my image. I can also desaturate it into black and white, or I can saturate it with color. That obviously looks highly fake, but when you see those sunset photos that people take, they've done a lot of these basic image adjustments to make it look sort of more surreal than it actually is. So I'll probably leave it there. You can lighten up your image again of how you want it, and so that's a basic kind of purpley color that we've got there, and then we can go back. Now when we look at all those different things that we've applied, you can see, if I turn them all off, how different my original image looks in my layers there. So that's my original, which did look like a cool photo, and then all of a sudden I apply all these effects, brightening it up, bringing up my levels, and it looks kind of cool now that it looks all old school and silhouetted compared to the original image. So there's some basic image adjustments. You can do those for all kinds of images. A lot of images I would just do a very basic sort of brightness contrast, just lift it a little bit, bring out some of the colors. So you can see that's a very simple one there. And the levels, there's probably a whole bunch of other ones here which you can have a play with. I usually don't use them. I've just shown you sort of the big adjustments that I use. So you can have a play with those on. Hopefully you've got some photos. Sometimes you might not need to do much at all, especially if you know how to take a really good photo. You'll have to do less work in Photoshop. So you can see how I've touched up that image there. Again, take it back to the original. It does make the original look quite dull now and not as inspiring. So we'll leave those on. I want you to have a few images, have a play with them, see what you can do with your image adjustments, and then move on to the next tutorial.